As tensions mount and the world speculates on the future of the US-Israeli relations, we turn to two distinguished guests for their insight. Mr. Rene, the political analyst from Washington, and Dr. Amany, the director of the Mediterranean Studies Institute at Alexandria University from Cairo. Thank you both for joining us tonight. As the Trump-Netanyahu alliance faces its most severe test, we ask, what lies ahead for this pivotal relationship? How will their disagreements over Iran and Gaza reshape the security landscape of the Middle East? Mr. Rene, could this apparent rift be temporary, with both leaders using it as leverage in ongoing negotiations and power plays?
Well, yeah, and thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about these issues. I mean, I do see that this obituary of the Trump-Netanyahu relationship is a bit premature. We have to start by understanding that the job of the president of the United States is, for any president, is to put American interest first. That's really Donald Trump's signature line, putting America first. And that is when dealing with our adversaries, as well as dealing with our most close allies. And I can really see that's exactly what Trump is doing right now with Israel. The United States, Trump, and all of us, we can respect and support Israel without necessarily rubber stamping every strategic decision that's coming out of the country. The definition of leadership is what we're witnessing right now. Having the strength to support a friend while also setting those boundaries that reflect American priorities. And our allies expect that. They expect strength from us. They also expect us to be able to have that direct communication. And I mean, I think honest disagreements between powerful allies are healthy. It's when the communication breaks down or there's a lack of communication, that's when the tension can arise and these partnerships can break. So again, I think that right now we are witnessing some disagreements, but I think these disagreements are healthy, and they're focusing on some of the issues that are from the American side, America first, and frankly, from the Israeli side, there might be an element of political survival at play there. But at the same time, I mean, Trump is walking a kind of a diplomatic tightrope here, but at the same time, we're witnessing quite a bit of diplomacy and a good amount of communication. And again, disagreements don't have to be deadly. They can actually be healthy.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Soliman, how do you expect Israel navigate the growing divergence with the US on Iran, especially given Trump's preference for negotiation versus Netanyahu's push for military action and confrontation to halt Iran's nuclear program?
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me. Well, I think Netanyahu will take a step back because this is one of the things that he knows he cannot do without American approval. This time, you cannot bomb any nuclear facilities in Iran or do any kind of military insurgency without the American consent, especially that the Americans are holding direct talks with the Iranian. Even if it's halted for a while, it will be resumed. And I think this is one of the things that Trump wants to succeed in very badly. So I don't think that Netanyahu would go for what he planned and went to the White House to take a green light for, which is bombing the nuclear enrichment facilities of Iran. But in order to protect his own lands, he would do something against Houthis, like perhaps attacks or something. And I don't think the Americans will go against any airstrikes against Houthis, given what happened last week of a direct missile to Ben Gurion airport. So I don't think that Netanyahu will take a step towards directly Iran or the Iranian facilities until he sees what happens with the talks with the Americans. But he would attack Iran's proxies, including Houthi.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Rene, is Trump's sidelining of Netanyahu part of a broader strategy to engage Gulf states, signaling a shift in U.S. Middle East policy, or do you think the American and Israeli leaders have already agreed upon that prior to the Middle East tour?
Well, I don't see there being too much of a divergence in the shared values that we have. There is some divergence in terms of the political interests that are at play here, and there's no doubt that Trump and the Americans are threading a needle. I don't think that we're going to stop showing strong support for Israel's right to self-defense, but at the same time, there needs to be a continued building of these alliances with the Gulf nations. And you really can't have a successful United States Gulf summit while ignoring the Arab world's outcry over what's happening in Gaza. This isn't political correctness; it's realism. So having the trust of our Arab allies, while at the same time making sure that one of our strongest allies in the region, being Israel, is defended. That's a political tightrope, and the optics are going to be incredibly difficult. But at the same time, this is a tightrope that is going to shape world policy. And under President Trump, we're seeing a different type of leadership where the United States isn't necessarily reacting to political events, but instead actually shaping them. And I do see that there's not going to be a wavering of support for Israel's right to defend itself. The calls for hostages to be released, the calls for an end to Hamas's attacks on Israel. Fighting terrorism is something that is in the world's best interest, not just Israel's and the United States. So I think we're going to still see quite the alliance that the United States will maintain with Israel, even if there are some differences of opinion on certain tactical things. But that said, we need to continue to build these relationships with Gulf nations and figure out a way to manage this global chessboard. And Gaza is just one piece of that. Iran's just one piece of that. The domestic pressure that all the leaders are under are one piece of that. But again, it really comes to careful diplomacy, not just tactical military alignment on things.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Soliman, how will Israel, namely the public opinion, the cabinet ministers, the members of the Knesset, respond to Trump's sidelining of Netanyahu in broader Middle East initiatives with Gulf states that require Israeli concessions on Gaza?
Well, let's first agree with your esteemed guest that the values are the same between the two men. They both don't mind seeing 2 million people besieged and starved to death in Gaza. They both don't mind terminating the Iranian nuclear program. The only difference is the tactics and the timing. But if we take a look at the responses in Israel, we will find that the opposition and the opposition leaders, such as Yair Lapid, are trying to make this rift bigger than what it is in real time. And he's talking to the Israeli media all day long about how the Americans are abandoning Netanyahu and his, according to his words, failure in Gaza. The public opinion, especially the families of the detainees, are urging the U.S. president to bring their sons and daughters back with Aidan Alexander. And they say that Netanyahu gave up on their sons and daughters and they want them back. And maybe the U.S. can do this since it now doesn't like Netanyahu and doesn't like the way he's running policies. In the end of the day, again, I don't see this rift as big as some voices are trying to show it. It's just about when to score a goal. Trump is now a president for more than 100 days. He promised to end wars, especially in Ukraine and Gaza, as soon as he gets into the White House, something that he couldn't do for almost 4 months now. And he just wants a small victory here or there. I expect in the coming days, perhaps some changes on the Gaza scene, perhaps aids get in, but I don't think that the core values of both men are any different.
Mr. Rene, what are the implications of Trump's decision to skip Israel in this upcoming Middle East tour on Israel and the rest of the Arab world and the GCC countries? Is it a way to woo over and win over the people and the leaders of the Arab world and the GCC countries?
I think that it's definitely a strategic move that is taking place here. But one thing that I want to be incredibly clear about here is that the United States is certainly horrified by the humanitarian tragedies that have been ongoing, and frankly, the humanitarian aid and effort that needs to happen in Gaza is something that we're seeing, again, even more leadership from the United States to make sure that the human casualties, the human price that's being paid here, again, it's awful and it needs to stop. I mean, that's something that is incredibly important that we need to make absolutely and abundantly clear. And so, again, ending this conflict while we can find ways to defeat that terrorism is incredibly important. But kind of getting back to the Trump-Netanyahu relationship, sure. I mean, it very well may be cooling right now as a result of trying to build up more of those alliances and reassure allies in the Middle East. But again, this is some distance that will help allies focus on that shared interest. I mean, while some may think that the proposals from Donald Trump to find ways to rebuild Gaza might be out of place, well, guess what? That's exactly the conversations that are being had right now. And frankly, I would much rather have a conversation about peace building and rebuilding than a conversation about more destruction. So strong allies like the United States and Israel are going to challenge one another. And Trump's style has always been results oriented. There is a transactional element to it, but if something isn't working, then we need to figure out ways to try something else. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing here is Trump trying to find another pathway to find a way to end the violence, to find a peace. And, strength doesn't always mean, doing the same thing over and over again. You don't have to be rigid. It means having the discipline to play a long game, even when some of the headlines might be damaging or might make folks think that there's a rift in a relationship that might actually be healthy. This isn't betrayal, it's leadership.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Dan Rene, the political analyst, and Dr. Amany Soliman, the director of the Mediterranean Studies Institute at Alexandria University, thank you both for your very valuable insights and analysis.